reverse headhunts, candidate flips, an absolute key tool for you to be using when the market softens, recruitment gets more difficult, and you're out there banging your head against a brick wall, trying to generate new searches, new leads, new clients. This is a really good way of leveraging your existing relationships and utilizing them to get yourself to top biller status. Right, so reverse headhunts, candidate flips. So something that I'm putting a push on in the organization is that we have so many relationships with so many different people, with so many candidates, so many LinkedIn first connections, and we are doing absolutely nothing with any of them, to the most part. Okay? We've looked back at the figures in the business for the last 2 years. So this year is the first year we've had absolutely no leads from that process. There may be leads that have come up from the push that I've done this month, but at the end of last month, when I did, appreciate we're in June, the end of April, to think about that, we had 0 leads by that method, which is the first time we have never seen leads via either of those methods that's re-recorded onto the CRM. So let me put this in perspective. There is recruiters out there that would die for the connections and contacts that you have, that would die for the opportunity for a chief executive to enter into a phone call and a conversation. The very first client that this business won was on the basis of a reverse headhunt. Okay? So what I want you guys to think about is how can you leverage those relationships better? We've upgraded the training on the CRM. Jack has done some work to try and make some pushes into that space. If we're on the portfolio side and we've got the connections and contacts at chief executive level, we should be leveraging our relationship to be able to win their business. There's 2 ways of doing that. One is by asking them the bloody question, which I do not think we're doing effectively. And 2 is by presenting to them a profile. If you wish to be fictitious or real, I prefer it to be real, that we could say, John, I'm working with X candidate at the moment that works for a competing or similar business to you. Would you be interested in hearing about that profile? John, I'm working with a candidate at the moment that works within the building products industrial services space that has XYZ experience and they're at chief financial officer level. I don't know your situation at the moment, but would you be interested in seeing a profile of that nature? No, we're happy with our CFO, but we actually do need, and then you're in. So it's not just about going, look, I wouldn't be doing my job without asking, John, but I'm going to disrupt this whole interview conversation and I'm going to ask you for your business. And you're going to go, no, and then I'm going to move on and I'll never ask you again. Right? It's about asking that question, positioning it better than what I've just stated and using the training in the CRM, but also going back to that person in the future, leveraging the relationships. If you interview a CFO in the building product space, you should be speccing them out to CEOs in the building product space and your candidates. If you interview a private equity vice president that works in consumer businesses, then it might be a good idea to reach out to those candidates that you know in the consumer industry that have those contacts, that invest in that space, that could be interested in that profile. The worst case scenario they're going to tell you is no, and that's absolutely fine. Okay? They still have a responsibility to grow their portfolio company. They still have a responsibility to look good in front of their private equity firm. And if you've got an A-star profile, it's another way of entertaining a conversation. It's another way of building a relationship. It's another way of retaining a contact. And what do most candidates think about recruiters? I hear from them once, and I never hear from them again. Okay? So leverage. Use your leverage, ask the questions, go through the training on the CRM, and get good at that. When I'm saying about going through that training, don't spend the next 9 years reading the script and running through it. What I want you to go through is to think about how could you improve that conversation to get better information. When you're live on that call, when you finish that discussion, what could I have done differently to maybe have got that relationship? You know, the colour profiles is above my head. Are they blue, red, green, yellow? Could I have leveraged that kind of conversation? Did I go too much detailed information? Oh, here's a candidate. He's got X, Y, Z, right? This guy's quite red. Be brief, be bright, be gone. Okay, it's quite yellow. He doesn't want loads of bloody information, but he does want a really good chat about the weather and how I'm feeling and whatever else is going on. Okay, so what I want you to be thinking is how do you leverage the communication, the contacts, the information that you've already done, you've already got, to be able to get more from them. And if you think about how many candidates are on chief exec level in each of your industries, if you think about how many candidates are on a principal level in your industries, maybe even VP level, there is an absolute ton of people that already know who we are and we are not doing any business with them. You know, Ollie nearly won a retainer on the back of the retainer pitch, obviously, on the back of the candidate relationship, and there's numerous occasions where that's occurred. You know, one of the best clients in the business has come from, he used to be a candidate, right? So you have that opportunity to leverage that when you're not upbeat on that initial candidate call. If that candidate's absolute crap, fine, turn it into a BD call. Do the right thing, get the details, get the information, ask for their business. And you should be doing that whether they're a good candidate, bad candidate, or middle ground candidate. Whatever it is, we want to be asking for that business and doing them a service, helping them. Because if they don't have the right people in their organisation, their career is hurt. Their career is not progressing. And hellfire, their whole reason for leaving might be that they're overswamped, which is regular in private equity, and they don't have the support level. And therefore, they want to move out of the business to come and work for someone else. Okay, so I want everybody to think about that and everybody to focus on developing that part of their game. The more you work on that, especially as leads are becoming a little bit harder to come across and relationships are important, when there's not as many vacancies, searches on the market, you are going to find that your relationships are absolutely key. And this is where the good billers will be okay because they've already worked in the market for X amount of years and achieved X, Y, and Z. But the new people in the organisation are going to struggle because they don't have those relationships. But I'm telling you, you already have them, you're just not utilising them. So how can you utilise them? Because it might be the client in the future. So we 3 years to win the best client that we have in this business. 3 years. And I can dine and swing off that account for many years to come, I'm sure, right? And if any of you guys have that account, be 200 grand easy into your revenue pool. Easy, right? So what are you prepared to do to win that account today, tomorrow, and continue doing that?